DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
USA from RPM. Our name says it all. Get the latest hits while they're the hottest. With Top Hits USA, you'll have the track for sure. Visit tophitsusa.com or call 800-521-2537 and get a free demo.
All right, we're back. It's Tuesday night. We've talked to Ben. We've talked about New Year's Eve. Brian, it's time to wrap up 2016.
Let's put a fork in it, man.
Put a fork in it.
Let's just put it to rest. Let's talk about it now, because I don't want to talk about it after the new year.
I think that's a good idea, because it's been
rough
on a national scale, on a personal scale. It's been a hell of a year.
Well, everyone's had their own personal things this year. I mean, I know I haven't really talked about them, but there have been some things in my family that have happened, and it hasn't made it for the greatest year. It's not the worst year for my family, but it's definitely not the best. But yeah, I mean, just in the world of music.
And that's what we'll focus on in the world of music. We're not going to sit here and come, I stubbed my toe back in May. And
No.
That's for the third show tonight. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. The Aches and Pains show's coming up after this.
when we get our rocking chairs and we're sitting on the front porch one day.
I'm already in a rocking chair. So are you.
And you do have a front porch there.
I do have a porch. It's a little cold out there right now, but I got one. I was out there and yell at the hipsters to get off my lawn.
That's what we want to do. That's a show worth making right there.
You know, I got cameras out there now, so we can just watch them.
Oh, we could use the
hipster cam.
We could do the security cameras and be on the front porch and do like this weird Wayne's World from Milwaukee. It'd be awesome.
Saturday night at about 1:30 till about 2:30. It'd be a pretty interesting show.
That would be interesting.
So
okay, let's get into music.
Oh yeah. So I'm going to start off by talking about the most recent one, man, George Michael, and that. I guess I don't know. Were you a fan?
Yeah, I was. I was a fan straight through from beginning through when he had his problems and such, and when he was arrested. I've always been a big fan of George Michael, and liking some of his deeper cuts. That yes, I play his popular ones, but his album, a couple of his albums actually were in my first CDs I purchased in that repertoire, and I listened to as a teenager a lot of his stuff, and really liked the sound and the energy, and it made girls dance.
The guy was unique for a few different reasons. And there are some definite personal reasons that I like him that I'll share as well. But just to talk about him and why he was cool. First of all, what a songwriter.
Yes.
His songs, I mean, he wrote all that Wham stuff. He wrote it. Had some co-writers on some of it, but most of that was musical arrangement. He was the lyricist on this stuff. And, when you're writing things and singing them as well, you know exactly how you want them to happen and be realized. So he produced all of those tracks too. The first track he didn't produce was the collaboration with Aretha Franklin's I Know You're Waiting for Me. That was Clive Davis was involved in that. I don't know if Clive Davis produced the track, but he was involved in that. And he's like, if you don't know who he is, he was like the super producer forever. Geffen was where he was for a really long time.
Sure.
But anyway, God, what a writer, what a songwriter, what a performer. I saw him live. I did see George Michael live. I saw the Faith Tour in 1988.
Oh, nice.
I saw it. And I've seen a lot of shows. I've been involved with a lot of shows, this little DJ conference shows too. I've kind of helped with that. But man, that's one of the best performances I've ever seen. And it was. I always said it was the best performance I ever saw until I saw Prince at the United Center in Chicago. Then that was like, okay, that was damn close. Damn close. I don't know. I think George still put on the best performance I've ever seen. It was amazing. And here's the weirdest thing about George Michael. And some of you may get a chuckle out of this, but I this is an observation that I've made, and I didn't fully realize until 10, 13 years. With the first time I went to England, I've been to England a handful of times since 2003. And when I go to England, I usually go out. I'll go to a club. I'll go to a show. I'll something. And I go to DJ conferences and whatnot. It's really odd, and you're gonna laugh, but a British person who can dance? Are you kidding me? This is an anomaly. This never happens because British people just can't do it.
Yeah.
And this guy, he wasn't like Prince or Michael Jackson with this dancing. He was just dancing like you would dance when you go out. He would dance to his own tunes on stage or whatever. Some of it was choreographed. Most of it was just kind of freestyle dancing. He was really good. British people aren't good at this. They don't do well with this. They do really well with making music, but not dancing to it. But there were so many things about that guy that were so cool, and one of the best voices we've ever heard ever was his. Just angelic, absolutely angelic. And it's odd being a kid from the 80s, because I am, I'm 45. There were a lot of people that I looked at, and because I was, and I was past tense. That's ridiculous. I'm a little different, and I know it. But it was cool to see people, especially because music video was like the thing, So not only could you hear the music, but you could see it being performed or being expressed visually as well. It was cool to see men, like men who were a little different too. That was really cool to see. So like Prince was otherworldly. I mean, he wasn't normal by any stretch of the imagination. You'd never met a guy like this. You never saw a guy like this, at Walgreens. You just didn't see this.
Yeah.
He wasn't cruising the aisles of Kmart. This was otherworldly. This was performance. This was everything about this guy was art. So that was amazing. He was different. He was okay. That guy's much more different than I am. Maybe I'm pretty normal. And then there were a few others that we lost this year. But George Michael was not otherworldly. He was just a cool guy.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very nice looking man, but he wasn't from outer space like Michael Jackson and Prince were.
Yeah, very much.
Or
so.
even Bowie. Bowie wasn't the everyman. I think George Michael he wasn't the everyman either, but he was a little different, like some of us were back then. And I could really relate to that guy. I could look at that guy and the other thing, even as an adult, although. I'm not somebody who was a super fan. I guess I was at one time. If you go back on my Facebook page and you dig really deep, you'll see a few pictures of me from my teenage years trying to look like George Michael. The beard, the hair, the earring, everything. You'll see some of this. But even as an adult, even going back, I can remember going back maybe a year ago or so. It's the same thing with Bowie. And even Prince, same thing. I could look at these people and say, you know what? They're older than me.
Yep.
They're still relevant. They still look good. They don't look ridiculous. They look cool. Maybe it's okay that if I don't just decide to, start buying clothes like my dad wears. Maybe it's okay that I don't do that yet. Maybe it's okay that I grow my hair a little weird and put some bleach in it at my age, because if these guys can do it and pull it off, maybe it's cool that I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
It was inspirational to me and it made me feel good about myself. I mean, these were the people who really, I guess, encouraged me to and let me know it was okay, maybe to be a little different.
I think that's a huge part of it, especially in Prince's, what Prince brought to the music scene was in some cases so incredibly different and so out there. And yet he was able to do that. And it did turn some people off, and it did make it at times that he had a more difficult road to go. But he definitely,
it was hard.
Yeah.
And if you don't get it now, maybe you'll get it in a few years. And that's how it was with a lot of this stuff. If you don't get it today, you'll get it later.
Mm-hmm.
There was a movement in the 80s that happened. And it happened in the mid 80s, primarily in the mid 80s. Because like the urban crowd, they really liked Prince and they really liked Michael Jackson. But like the rest of us, could not really relate to them. Style-wise, but then Run DMC comes along, and it's like, hey, these guys are like us. They dress like us. They live like us. They're wearing Adidas. I can go buy Adidas. I can be like them. They're more like me. So I like these people. I can relate to these people, and I can connect more with these people than I can these guys from outer space.
Yeah.
And for some of us, George Michael was almost like that, He wasn't from outer space, and we kind of got. Yeah, he dressed better than we did, but we got it. He wore jeans, he wore a leather jacket, he had aviators on,
and we could afford the jeans, or we could afford some sort of jeans. We could afford aviators, kind of leather jacket. We all wanted to get that jacket, but mom and dad wouldn't let us go spend $200.
The BSA jacket, yeah. Go buy a Prince coat. I dare you.
Yeah.
Go buy anything that looks like Prince might have worn. One of his shirts, one of his coats with the things here, and
after you get beat up for wearing it, then
I didn't care.
In my neck of the woods, it would have been a beat down coming for wearing a frilly shirt like that to school.
Oh, it might have been in my neck of the woods too. I say that I lived in Milwaukee for 33 years, but the truth is, I actually lived in a little town outside of Milwaukee for about half of those years. And it was the white flight town. So what white flight is, if you don't know, that is when white people get really nervous when brown people move next door. So they leave the city and they build their little house out in the suburbs. Milwaukee, we had a huge white flight thing. And only now is not even so much my generation, but the generation after mine, they're coming back, and they're coming back into the city.
Yeah, very much so.
White people are repopulating. They don't want to live out there anymore. It's boring. So I live in this little conservative white flight town, and please, give me a ride into the city. Please, let me go visit my sister who lives in the city, or any excuse to get into the city. I was all over. So yeah, there were some things that I guess I had a hard time with too. But honest truth is, I enjoyed making people nervous, and I enjoyed making people uncomfortable with the way I dressed and the way that the music I listened to. I enjoyed challenging them at the same time. So, but that was then. I mean, now I live in a hipster neighborhood, and it feels so good to just feel boring. Yet still be myself. If I lived out by where my parents still live, out in that little town, I might get looked at. I might, what's with that guy? Ooh. But here I'm just boring. They think I'm a cop.
The boring old guy.
Yeah, I'm a cop or something. I'm nobody. I have no tattoos, no gauges. There's got to be something with that guy. Got to be. But anyway, it was my formative years. A lot of people my age really saw the people that gave them the music that they loved go. This year, just this year,
yeah,
my generation got hit real hard. Our generation got hit real hard. Mm-hmm. We're of the same generation.
Yep.
And then I think about my mom. It's like, to my knowledge, Jerry Lee Lewis is still alive.
That I think we talked about that, I think, in the last couple of weeks.
Well, what's up with that? Paul McCartney is still around. Mick Jagger and Keith Richards are both still here.
Mm-hmm.
You got 3 out of the 4 Monkees. What do we got? Duran Duran? What's left? What do we got left, man? It's amazing when you think about it. Like, and I'm not a a fansy guy. I'm not that guy who's like follows celebrities, like I said, but there were just things about some of these people, the men who did this music that inspired me.
Oh, for sure.
As somebody who was a little different as a teenager, really inspired me and let me know it's okay to be the way I am. It's okay. I don't got to be normal, and that's boring anyway. And I wasn't trying to be weird. I was just weird. And it felt good. It felt good to have people out there that made me feel like it was okay. I don't know.
So this year, of course, we've had musical acts, some that have passed on. And of course, like as today, Carrie Fisher, who is a part of a lot of us, a lot of our growing up as Princess Leia and such, because you have such a connection with music and it's such a big part of your life, do movie star, we'll call it, or celebrities from the non-musical world, does that hit you as hard as the musical side?
No, it doesn't. And I'll be honest. I mean, when I got the news about George Michael, if this would have been 2 years from now, or even last year, I really would have been affected. But this has been such a bombardment of just bad news. I feel like, all the bad guys won this year and all the good guys lost. And I'm numb to it. I'm so numb to it now. And I hate that I've become so just jaded in my soul that I'm used to getting punched in the stomach every week and a half from some just major loss. The Carrie Fisher thing is really going to be something that people are going to talk about because she's relevant again. I mean, she wasn't for a long time, but to my knowledge, they had plans for her for 2021 with Star Wars films.
Yeah.
And they killed off, Harrison Ford, Han Solo, but she was supposed to stick around. So there's a whole new generation that knows who Carrie Fisher is now. Carrie Fisher, and I don't want to dwell on Carrie Fisher at all, but, and I'm not, I mean, it's tragic, but I'm not shocked. She was 60. She had a very hard life. She struggled with a lot of different things.
A lot of demons. Yep.
A lot of demons. And if Carrie Fisher had not, if the Star Wars franchise wasn't big right now, the shock value of this wouldn't be as grand. And I think that this is how a lot of people are looking at these musical celebrities who we've lost. When was the last time that George Michael had a song that people really enjoyed? I mean, he's done music, but when was the last time he was super relevant?
Yeah.
In my life, wasn't that long ago. Wasn't that long ago at all, because there was stuff that a lot of you guys don't know that I know and I love. I mean, there's stuff that he did within the last 10 or 12 years that are just way up there on my list of favorite George Michael tunes. Prince, I dropped out with Prince probably this entire century. I haven't paid much attention. And a lot of that had to do with his shift in faith and his focus. And I felt like he was just repeating himself artistically. I didn't feel like he was doing anything fresh, so I tuned out. Bowie, on the other hand, and Bowie was one of those guys where it was like, I'm not feeling this Bowie thing. And then I'd hear something that's like a new Bowie thing. Oh, that is so weird and cool. That is so weird. And then you see him and it's like, and then he looks like $1 million. Yeah, he's an older guy, but he's dressed better than I'll ever be able to afford to. He's got a full head of hair. He's moving around. He's smiling. His teeth look great, finally. Yeah. So the Carrie Fisher thing, I think, is just so relevant right now because of the Star Wars films.
For sure. People
are thinking about her. That's terrible. Just absolutely tragic. But I'm so incredibly numb to it all now.
Yeah.
And if somebody would have told me, 2016, these are the people you're going to lose. These are the people. And they didn't tell me how we'd lose them. I would think that there was some kind of explosion in Hollywood that just took out Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
That's the only explanation that all of these people would be dead all in the same year. It's just, just major guys. Or maybe there was an award show that blew up or something. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense, How did all these people go this year? There are people that nobody's talking about. I mean, Glenn Fry from the Eagles. Glenn Fry, some people are thinking, okay, yeah, he did Smuggler's Blues and he did The Heat Is On from Beverly Hills Cop.
Mm-hmm.
No, this guy was the backbone of the Eagles for many, many years. And today, I mean, they're playing again. They started playing again, 10 years ago?
Yeah.
10, 12 years ago?
Yeah, it's been a little while, yeah.
Michael Jackson, they say that Thriller is the best-selling album of all time. And sometimes Eagles' Greatest Hits Volume 1 would bump it off for a minute. It was always number 2. Sometimes it was number 1. They teeter-totter back and forth for a long time. Best-selling album of all time. And that's more so the baby boomer generation's guy.
Mm-hmm.
But we got him too. Absolutely, we got him too. Pete Burns from Dead or Alive. That was heavy for me too, because I talk about these 80s guys who are a little different, and I'm looking at them saying, okay, maybe it's okay that I'm different. Pete Burns from Dead or Alive was huge on my list.
Oh yeah.
And not on everybody's list, but for me, that was a superstar to me. And yeah. There's a whole generation of people out here who think about Pete Burns as this reality star who just has a lot of plastic surgery, because that's who he's been for a long time. But if you are my age and you were not only a DJ but heavily clubbing, whether you should have been or not, as a teenager in the 80s, that guy's a big deal. And there were 4 albums that guy did in a row that I just loved. Amazing albums. That guy was a hell of a singer. That's probably the second best singer of the 80s. Pete Burns. That guy had an incredible voice. I met him at a show in the 90s. And he was very nice. Very nice guy. One thing I do remember, I do have his autograph. The show was predominantly gay men in their 20s in attendance. And I was there with, I think, my girlfriend, and my friend Cheryl was there too. And I think my friend Joseph was there. And we were right up front. And after he did like a meet and greet afterwards, and I was one of the only people who like just extended my hand to shake his hand. And he was so surprised by this because all these gay guys were hugging him.
Yeah.
And wanted to autograph their chest and stuff. And I'm just like a handshake and thank you for the music kind of thing. And he shook my hand and he looked me in the eye and he kind of looked down like he didn't know how to take that. Like, why aren't you hugging me? Why are you shaking my hand? This is odd. Weird memories.
Yeah, that's something.
No, but I love this stuff, man. I mean, he had 4 albums that were so solid, and I just loved all of them. And I don't know, man. It's just a hell of a year. And I really would rather not talk about any of this stuff after this year.
Yeah.
Like, once it's over, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Maurice White from Earth, Wind and Fire. Oh my God. I mean, did you remember that he died too? Holy crap. It's all these people. I mean, that was the backbone of Earth, Wind and Fire. Him and his brother were Earth, Wind and Fire. Arranged that stuff, sang on it. Gone. Seen him at NAMM. Just walking by. Not hanging out with him, but I've seen him at NAMM with his brother. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Sean? What do you got for me?
There's just so many as you're talking about. I mean, it's just you can go and find any number of lists of singers and such that have passed away this year. Merle Haggard was another.
Merle Haggard. Mm-hmm.
Forgot about that. And just kind of going through.
And that's it. And that's what I'm trying to say. It's like I'm just so jaded by it. I mean, I don't know if jaded is the right word, but I'm just numb. And instead of feeling loss, I feel anger.
Yeah.
I just get pissed off. I'm like, oh, please. I just don't have it in me anymore. I don't have any more tears for this.
Yeah.
And I just, in the world of entertainment, could there be a more gut punchier than this? Could there possibly be? I've really thought about it in my world. No, there couldn't be a more gut punchier than this. It's not even possible. Oh, I'd be upset. There's some people out there, if something happened to him, I'd be very upset. But not like this year.
Mm-hmm.
Not this big. Not this big. Insane. Just, please, just bring on 2017. Please. Before I start drinking again. Something other than coffee.
And because, he'll end up in the streets at 1 in the afternoon the next day.
Natalie Cole did die this year, didn't she? That's right.
Yeah.
I forget. No, that wasn't this year, was it?
I thought it was, wasn't it?
I don't. Maybe.
Well,
it's just so many.
Oh, no. December 31st, 2015. So right at the end of the year.
Close enough. And then Lemmy from Motorhead. It was all within a year.
Yeah.
I think they were trying to encompass with the George Michael thing. Then it was Lemmy, Natalie Cole, and then the list just went.
Yeah.
Like crazy. Just wouldn't stop. Wouldn't stop. So many.
Yeah.
So many. But yeah, too much. Stop taking away people who gave us gifts. The music is so personal as well. When we talk about actors, they're acting. It's in the title. They're acting, and that's not taking anything away from their art form. But when you're talking about singer-songwriters, these are people who are putting their heart out there. I mean, this is who I am. Here it is. It's so personal, to share that with everybody. It's like you feel like you know them better. Even if you don't, you feel like you do.
Oh, for sure. Jimmy mentions, of course, we're at the age where a lot of our heroes are in their 60s and dying. But, Prince wasn't 60.
No,
and 60 is not that old anymore. I mean,
my mom's still got a whole bunch of people that she really likes that are walking around.
Mm-hmm.
Whole bunch of them. Michael Douglas, and Kirk Douglas, the father and son. I mean, Dad's like 100.
Yeah.
And I saw something on Facebook right before we started the show. It was like, Dad's nearing the end. Pray for him. I'm like, good for Dad. He made it to 100. This actor who's been acting forever.
Just turned 100 here on December 9th. Wow.
Yeah, 100 years old. And he had a stroke like 10 years ago, and the guy's still just he was kicking some ass. But the last year I just saw him on Bill Maher, like in May. Like, yeah, I'll be 100 in December. It was just so weird, because he was very, very, he wasn't somebody you had to talk down to or talk to like a child. He was sharp, and he was smart. He knew what he was talking about. It was a good interview. And then, you got all these people, in their 50s. Bye. It's just going. Bowie was 69, and I think we just didn't see it coming. For someone to die at 69 isn't like, oh my God. People do die at 69, but we just didn't see it coming. Carrie Fisher, again, relevant. I wasn't sure how old she was. I thought she may have been in her 50s too. I thought she was younger than she was when she did Star Wars, but no. Yeah. Put a fork in this year, please. Let's just put a fork in this damn year.
And start over next year.
Please.
Clean slate.
So next year, I really want a better 2017. I want that so badly. So hopefully we'll have some new discoveries and some new things to get excited about. And try to leave this negativity back in the past where it belongs. And maybe we've heard enough, and maybe we're tougher for it now. But it really, really, really felt like, my generation just took one gut punch after the other this year. It was just awful, awful.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Somebody mentioned Alan Thicke here. Just passed away a few days ago.
Alan Thicke, yeah.
A lot of great talent. But yeah, I think looking ahead to 2017, I think the thing I'm hoping that we see is more of the cohesiveness coming back instead of the dissension. And we see this on our Facebook pages every day.
Oh God!
Where someone puts up a video or shares something or makes a comment, and then all of a sudden you've got people yelling and blocking each other, and I almost want to go back to the days before Facebook and before social media where you didn't have there's just such a division amongst people, and some people say it's because of this or that or the other thing. It's like I really think it's a combination of things, and not only 2016 was a tough year because of the loss that we all experienced in people that we love to follow and such, but then you have the level of anger and the anxiety of trying to watch and see these things and what's truthful and what's not, and you're trying to put all this stuff together in your head, and it's just been a shitty year.
I've talked about empathy so much, man, and people, not everyone, there are some people out there who are hanging tough, but I've noticed a lot of people have become so unempathetic this year. I wasn't going to say anything. I was not going to say anything. I was going to keep this to myself. But since George Michael died, there's somebody on my Facebook feed and radar or whatever you want to call it, who started making wisecracks about it. And I'm like, hey, a man's dead,
Yeah.
Continued to do it, and then the guy has and I don't want to get political either, but the guy has his profile picture, has a picture of Trump. Get over it, I won. And I'm like, oh my God. I understand that political correctness has gone a little array. I understand that it's too much, but that doesn't mean that tactfulness should be flushed down the toilet, folks. Yeah. You gotta balance this out a little bit. I agree. We shouldn't call it a person hole. It's going a little far. I agree, but come on. I mean, have some compassion for others. Yeah. You shouldn't be offended by everything. I won't be offended by what he said in a week, but don't tell me about this when one of my heroes has just died. I don't want to see it. And I'm not the guy who you can usually offend, and I wasn't particularly offended. I just thought, oh my God, what poor taste and poor judgment to even do that. Even if you didn't like him, even if you didn't agree with his lifestyle or like his music or whatever, why do that?
Yeah.
And he is just an example of some of the stuff I've seen this year. But what I cannot do and what you cannot do and what we cannot do is remember that not everyone's doing that.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people out there who are not doing that. And I got to remember that. I got to remember there's still good out there, Yeah. And again, this year, goodbye. And I'm going to be the most positive guy on January 1st. As long as the goddamn sky doesn't fall, I think I'm going to be okay. If I'm still alive on January 1st, I may attempt a cartwheel. I only have one hand, but I may try it. Just a more positive year, please. So if something in my personal life happens, I guess I'm more equipped to handle it. But geez, this year, every time you got over the last thing or the lump was out of your throat, the next one was ready for you.
Mm-hmm.
Bam, bam, bam. I lost an uncle this summer, which was huge. I mean, he was like a brother, was more like a brother than an uncle. And we were the two people in the family who were the most alike, The one guy that I felt like I could relate to better than anyone else, and he could relate to me better than anyone else, and we knew it was coming and all that, but it was just like, oh, okay, well, here's another one. Well, so it was one thing after another. I need a better year. We all do. So I'm here just hoping for that for all of us. Let's have a better 2017, please. So, I'm just saying that 2016 was the year the Empire struck back. The bad guys won. And all the bad stuff happened. So let's have 2017 be Return of the Jedi.
There we go.
Let's do that. If we can.
And that's how we tie our shows back into a Ben Stowe set.
There you go.
Oh, we're going to wrap things up, gang. Thank you for watching tonight. We'll be back again next Tuesday night at a regular time with our shows. Monday night shows, we got those coming up and such. But this weekend, New Year's Eve, please go out, have a good time if you're going to be going out, but please be careful, be safe, watch out for the other guy, because you might be perfectly fine, but as Brian said, it is a night where the other guy can kill you much quicker than you can get yourself killed, it seems. So
It's amateur night. Just watch it out there. Just be smart.
yeah, be smart and come back.
Give
And
yourself plenty of time. And don't feel ashamed to pull over for a while. If you're tired or it's not feeling safe for you, pull over for a while.
Yep.
Go ahead. Turn on the radio. Run the battery down. Call AAA if it goes out. Just be safe.
Yeah, for sure. Log in with the podcast and you can listen to some of the old shows. That'll put you to sleep.
Yeah, that'll definitely put you to sleep.
Brian, have yourself a wonderful New Year's Eve, and thank you for a fun 2016 with the shows on Tuesday night. Even though we've had all the other crap, we've had a good time this year, and I thank you for your time.
This is like almost going on a complete year here. We're almost there.
Yeah, it's good time. So,
and I think on speaking of the new year, I think on January 12th, will be the 10th birthday for my first YouTube video.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I think around that same time, or maybe a couple of weeks later, will be our 1 year anniversary for these shows.
So
we started these right after NAMM, I think.
Yep, right around that time. So what we need to do is we need to go and take the very first shows, and we'll have to go through and critique what we did in our very first.
They're probably better. They're probably better now because we were preparing for them. And
wow, we actually do what we're. No, it's
fine. Like, nah, whatever. I'm great at this. And you just turn the camera on and go. Those ones are probably great. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. More to come. We're just getting started, as always. We appreciate you watching. It means the world. Like, subscribe, all that kind of fun stuff. And we'll see you in 2017.
Good night, everyone.